Hey everyone, Jordan here with 9 to 5 Toys. As you can see, we're back in the racing sim setup. So when Logitech announced its Pro Wheel and Pro Pedals, they also announced a collaboration with Playseat. And so today we're going to be checking out the Playseat Trophy Logitech G Edition. It's a small tubular cockpit that has the rigidity to handle the maximum 11 Newton meters of torque from the Pro Wheel, but it also sports a very small, lightweight, and stylish package. So it's a really good option for the Logitech Pro Wheel and pedals, but it does have some limitations. So let's dive in and check them out. Well, it's time for another quick sim rig update. We're using the Playseat Trophy Logitech G Edition cockpit. I also have the Next Level Racing, I think it's their TV stand light, holding up the Monoprice Dark Matter 49-inch monitor here. And this is kind of, I have it tucked in the corner in my studio, and this is kind of what I've been using for my sim rig lately, and it's been really nice. Obviously, having a rigid cockpit like this Playseat Trophy is much better than the Wheel Stand 2.0. That has its own merits with, being more compact and transportable, but having something that's rigid like this has been a really great upgrade. So today we're going to be diving in and taking a closer look at it, checking out all the features and some of the limitations as well. Now this cockpit comes in at $600, and the basic premise of it is it's a very small, lightweight cockpit that still has the strength for a high-powered direct drive racing wheel like the Logitech G Pro wheel. There are more powerful wheels, but 11 Newton meters of torque from this thing is pretty significant. And Playseat does have some more affordable options, but like we said, you kind of want something that has the strength to keep up with this Pro wheel. And usually what you see from a lot of the competition for, cockpits that can support a powerful wheel like this is something that's larger, maybe a little bit more modular, but not quite as stylish and lightweight as what the Playseat Trophy is. So that definitely seems like what their direction was when designing this. But starting today, they should be available from Logitech's website. And of course, I'll have a link down in the description if you want to check it out. And first off, talking about setup, getting this thing out of the package, getting it assembled, everything went together pretty easily. It is a very, visually focused instruction manual, kind of like what you would see from IKEA, but the way they have them positioned in there, everything was pretty easy to figure out and put together. And one of the other bonuses here is that you have Logitech gear, like the Pro wheel that we have here, on the bottom of the wheel deck and on the pedal deck as well. The mounting points for those, the actual screw holes, are labeled on there, so they're very easy to find. So this will support a wide variety of wheelbases and pedals, but at the same time, if you are using Logitech stuff, it's a little bit more seamless and a little bit easier to find on there. The overall design of this thing is really slick. It's like a powder-coated gray with some nice blue accents. Obviously, it has a Logitech G branding all over it, mixed with Playseat, and it does really look very sharp. And moving on to adjustability, throughout that setup process, you get to kind of take a peek at what the different adjustment points are. So first off, let's talk about the seat. And this basically is, they call it their ActiFit or something like that material that just kind of wraps around a frame. It's not like a legit car racing seat that you would see in some other more expensive sim racing cockpits, but what it is actually pretty comfortable. It's well supported. There are Velcro straps that strap around the frame in a few different points, and then there's a little bit of adjustability there as well. There isn't any height adjustment, but by loosening the main tubes with the 4 bolts, the distance between the seat and the pedals can be extended for people who are a little bit taller or a little bit shorter. There are 2 support arms that control the angle of the seat. Once again, there are 2 bolts with nuts that have to be removed to make this adjustment. And then lastly, the straps of the seat can be adjusted for more support, both in the back and the lumbar. Though the lumbar support strap was probably the one place that the instructions didn't really mesh up with how it actually seemed to go together when I was assembling this seat. The strap seems to be much longer than what they have, shown in the actual instruction manual, so it's a little bit harder to get it positioned how they have it in there, but I was able to figure it out, and it still works well, and you can make some adjustments there. And next up, the pedals can also be adjusted to quite a few different positions. There are mounting brackets on either side of the pedal plate down there. There are 2 height positions, and then there are 4 or 5 different places where you can set some other thumb screws for adjusting the angle here. So quite a bit of adjustability there if you do want to change the angle or the height. And then the last adjustment we have is that there are on the bottom of the wheel deck, there are 4 bolts that allow you to tilt the wheel, and then you can also just flip around the deck 180 degrees, which would put the base a little bit further away if you want a little more distance between your seat and the wheel. For me, I'm about 6'1", and I found this to be a pretty comfortable position just in the stock with the wheelbase kind of pointing towards the seat, so kind of in the closer position. So while it's great that all these adjustment points are there and it can be adjusted to fit different sized people, unfortunately it's a bit of a process to do any of them. The pedals have those thumb screws, so that's a little bit faster, but if you want to make any adjustments to the seat position, if you're swapping between 2 different drivers trying to share with your kids or your partner or some friends, you have to use some tools to make that adjustment. It's not the easiest process. So that's kind of where you need to decide, what is your goal or what are you hoping to do with your sim racing cockpit. For me, like up here by myself in the studio, I'm pretty much the only person who ever uses this, so it's fine for me to just get it set and really enjoy the ergonomics, the stylish design. It's a nice little setup. But if I were in a situation where I was sharing this rig with a lot of other people, then that would definitely be something to consider. Maybe you want to look for something that's a little bit different, a little bit easier to adjust so you can swap between drivers easier. But like I said, I found this to fit me very well after a few minor adjustments. I'm about 6'1", and as far as the sizing adjustment on those tubes, I said you can extend them for taller drivers. I have it about 1.5 inches extended from, the shortest thing, and that's not even quite to the medium setting. It goes all the way to 4.5 inches of extension there. So me at 6'1", I'm only using 1.5 inches, and this is, this feels very comfortable for me where I have it, a nice distance for my legs. Nothing feels cramped, but I also feel like I am, right on top of the pedals, which is where I like to be. And that leads us into the overall comfort of this thing, and I've had no issues sitting here for multiple hours and racing. I find the seat to be quite comfortable, even though you might not expect it to be that, as it's just kind of like a cloth cover or their active fit material, whatever they call it, that just kind of velcros around the frame, but there is plenty of support, plenty of comfort here. It's nice and wide, and so I don't feel like, it's too small for me or anything like that. It's a really nice setup. And once again, I do think there's a nice variety of positioning for the pedals to get something that's very comfortable. You can raise them up a little bit, keep them down. Some nice adjustability in those pedals for comfort. And just overall in use, I am really enjoying this cockpit. It's very rigid, which is something that was a really nice upgrade over the Next Level Racing Wheel Stand 2.0 that I had been using. Even with that, it has the little like wheel tray that keeps your racing chair or whatever, keeps it from moving back very much, but still you don't feel like it has the rigidity of like a real racing car or racing cockpit. And that's something where, this really shines the rigidity. You can really stamp on the pedal and you're not concerned at all with anything moving on here. And so very rigid. It supports the wheel extremely well. I can, crank the torque up on this thing and never feel like it's flexing or moving or anything like that. Very rigid, able to support this wheel really well. So I do think this is a very good fit for the Logitech Pro wheel and probably other wheels as well. Once again, if you're not sharing the rig that much. My only complaint is that there is no mounting point for a shifter or handbrake included. A Playseat does sell one, but it's $50. It's not on the Playseat America store, so to get one here in the US, I'd have to pay $50 and then another $100 in shipping to get us one over here. So, I tried my hand at 3D printing something over here, and it kind of works, but it needs, a little bit of refinement to really be where I'd want to use it and show it off a little bit more. So there are some options where you can do that. Obviously, I'd like to see something in the, a Playseat America store where we can get that a little bit cheaper, or even, on their Amazon store, because I really don't want to pay $150 for it where, 2/3 of that is just shipping. And just touching on a little bit of the competition, like I said, you might want to look for something that has more adjustability, a little bit easier to adjust. And, one option that would be similar to this, a little bit more expensive, is the GT Omega Titan RS6. It's priced at $680, but it has more seat adjustability. It also has a pretty rigid, tubular design like this, but it also comes with a shifter mount. So a little more functionality in there, a little bit easier to use, definitely better adjustability. So that might be something you want to consider if you do plan on sharing your rig a lot more. But overall, wrapping up here, if you're looking for something that's small that, can be moved around your living room, placed in front of your TV, kind of pulled out of the way thanks to that lightweight design, the Playseat Trophy Logitech G Edition I do think is a good option. Now at $600, there are definitely cheaper cockpits out there, but you want something that can withstand the strength of this wheelbase, and you want something that's rigid when you're really pushing on those pedals, because you can dial up these pro pedals to take quite a bit of force. So if you want more flexibility, you might be better served spending a little bit more money or getting something with a little bit more adjustability. But if you're kind of like in my position and you very rarely share the rig, nobody else is really using it, then I do think this is a really great option. I think it looks really nice up here in my studio. I can kind of just tuck it in the corner. It doesn't take up a whole lot of room. But that's going to do it for our review of the Playseat Trophy Logitech G Edition. Let us know what you think about it down in the comments below. And if you're looking for some other videos to watch, I'll link to the video where I start diving into VR drifting, as well as our most recent video. And thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up so others can find it easier, and consider subscribing. This is Jordan with 9 to 5 Toys.